As the foundation work continues, the layout begins to take clearer shape. This is a phase of careful coordination, where the framer and steel fabricator join the team on site and make sure everything is ready before pouring begins. These early conversations set the stage for a smooth build, ensuring that framing and foundation will all come together without any surprises. And by the end of this episode, we'll reach a major milestone as concrete is poured and the foundation becomes real.
Hi, I'm out at the project site this morning, and we have a great opportunity to talk about the interface in the construction process between the forming of the foundations, the very first step of forming, and slowly that's going to lead into a connection with our framing contractor, with Vince from Thomas Framing. And Vince has done quite a few projects on projects we've designed in the past, and we brought him in on the project to work on this really spectacular house. And so Vince, what I was trying to do is tell people what you do in terms of the interface right now in this phase of the project. You know, the concrete's poured.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people would say, well, what does the framing contractor have to do with all these plumbing pipes that are out here and all this? So can you kind of tell us a few things you're looking at right now?
So once they put the forms up, I'll go around and I'll mark out all the ABs, all the HDs, all the openings, so no one puts any plumbing or electrical where especially my king studs and the trimmers and stuff like that. So that's that's the main thing I'll do. And then once I lay that out, they'll come back in, put the bolts in for HDs, ABs, and then I'll come back and double check it to make sure that they did them right.
Okay, so now Vince, nobody knew what he was talking about.
No.
What's an AB?
It's an anchor bolt.
Anchor bolt.
The holds the wall. It's the walls. That's the walls. The holds the walls down.
Anchor bolt. What does an anchor bolt do? Why are they important?
It's for the green plate, which is the bottom plate of a wall.
What's a green plate?
Green plate.
Okay.
It's
the
bottom plate of a wall.
Okay, it's a piece of wood.
Yes, piece of wood.
Okay. Why is it green? Yeah. Why is
pressure?
It green?
It's pressure treated, so it can be on the concrete. They make it for concrete.
Okay, so it's so that it doesn't rot?
Yep.
Because it's rot resistant,
Yep.
right?
Rot resistant.
It's also insect resistant.
Yep, insect, rot, and all that stuff.
Okay, so these are the bolts that you're talking about right here.
Yes, those would be ABs.
So tell us about what this plastic element is, and why is this bolt right here? How did it end up right there, and how did these end up where they're at?
So the blue things are determined on what size of the wall, if it's a 2x4 wall or if it's a 2x6 wall. So this is made for center of the wall.
Okay.
That's why they bring them. They'll either bring them out or they'll bring them in for 2x4 or 2x6 wall or even 2x8 walls. But these are all 2x6 and 2x4.
And you supply these bolts.
They do. The concrete guy does.
The concrete guy does. And then but you tell the concrete people where they go.
Yes, I do.
Okay, and then you're coming out here to check to make sure that they've put them where you've said or haven't missed one.
Yes, exactly.
Or something like that. And these bolts are sized and located by the structural engineer.
Yes.
So you're going through the whole project to make sure everything is where it's supposed to be, so that when it's poured and you come back out, the concrete's in there, the bolts are where they're supposed to be.
Yep, and I'll usually, when on my plans, I'll write where I put them, and like any of the ABs, so I know where they're going to be. So
okay, that's
every once in a while you got to add one in there because there's just something, because nothing's perfect, but you always have to.
Somebody may have missed something.
Yeah,
or you have to
even I miss. Yeah, so I'll even miss them too.
Okay. And then, do you do any other checking in terms of dimensioning on forms?
Yes, I pull my numbers. I always will pull my numbers for all my walls, for all my openings, and I make sure that their overall numbers are the same as what on the plans, because that's how we catch it. We went over this whole thing right here, the whole backside of this thing.
You've gone, so you yourself have measured every single one of these forms.
All the pop outs, with the concrete guy too. Just make sure.
So it's a team effort.
Yeah.
Now, did you find any little errors that they had to adjust?
No, I thought there was an error right here, but it was actually me. I missed that. In the plans, there was 3 inches that I missed, and then he's like, "Look right here," and I go, "Okay."
Okay. So you were very integral to the layout of this foundation.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. Pop outs, everything.
Everything.
Yep.
All the heights and everything else.
I check it all.
Okay. All right.
Because that's going to determine my heights on my walls and what's on the plans.
Is there? Let's go over here and look at one of these things here. Now. Right here, there's some pretty big bolts
Yep.
right here.
That would be for the steel guys. That's going to be for our steel columns.
Did you locate these bolts?
Yeah, I sprayed them to where they were going to be at.
Okay.
All I did was mark them. The steel guy has to come and lay his stuff out, but I already knew where they were going to be.
These are amazing. If you look down in here, these bolts go 6 feet into the concrete slab, and these plates that are right here, these are precisely located by within a 1/4 inch.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe not even a quarter. They're dead on. They have to be exactly where they're at.
Yeah, because it's a metal plate that goes over with a big old steel column, so they have to be right on money.
Are you going to be coordinating when they set the metal columns in?
Yes, because I put wood on them. I actually they call them a nailer, but it's actually wood that I put on there, so I could connect my wood to their steel with bolts.
Okay, so this is another element that you're very, very involved in to make sure are correct.
Yep, I checked those too. That's why I went around and marked all them where they were going to be the centers of them.
Okay. What else would you be looking at in this phase besides, say, these bolts and the anchor bolts? Is there anything else?
Just overall numbers. All my overall numbers. That's a big thing, because if it changes, because then it could change. If it had trusses, but they don't have trusses. But if there were trusses, your overall numbers have to be on per plan because of the fit of the roof line.
Okay. Okay. What about heights of things? Are you checking elevations of various things?
I check, well, as long as they're all the same right here, because they'll shoot them in, and if they're all in the same, then I know that's right, because and I'll know once I start to, literally when I start doing my framing, I'll know as soon as I start doing my heights. Okay. But I'll shoot all my stuff first before I even do it.
Now, when you say shoot,
with lasers.
Lasers.
For heights, yeah.
So you'll come out here with a laser, you'll make sure that everything is the right height with a laser.
Yep.
And that way, when they're checking the forms, that you know they're at the right height.
Yep, and I'll check and I'll adjust if there's any kind of problem. I always adjust with my framing because it's wood, so I can adjust and make it right. Because as long as I do that, because you can adjust the bottom, but the top's always got to be level.
Exactly. And now we're going to be really working closely with Vince's crew when the wood framing goes up in our next edition, and so that's going to be really exciting because you're going to have saws out here and wood, and you're going to be really helping people visualize how we go from this level to start creating a frame of a building, which is very exciting. It's always the most exciting part. We actually have a building that's rising right now.
Yeah, because then it'll have that second floor, and then it'll go up from there. Then it goes from there to the next one.
And how long do you think that the framing process will take?
I'm thinking to do the whole framing of everything and pickup and everything on this thing is going to be around 3 months, or close to 3 months. Yeah, that's with, all my pickup, coming back, because I always have to come back after electricians do stuff. Okay. So I always have to come back and check, and then if they need any interior blocking or exterior blocking for their lighting or anything, so I always come back and do so. Yeah. I'm thinking around 3 months.
About 3 months.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fantastic. Well, we're going to be following the framing very closely through several other, shows. And so in the future, we'll be interviewing Vince and his crew about the various techniques in framing, because the framing it's a technique process. Yeah. There's a lot of tricks and framing elements, and we're going to be looking at things and talking about that. So when you get ready to put the plates, those treated wood plates down, we'll be out here to record that, so you can show us how you're drilling and laying those in. Yeah. And is there any last thing about the house itself in terms, as a framer, you're a professional framer, is there something about this design or this house that you could comment on, or that you're enthusiastic about?
I like the style of it. I like because my style is straight lines, and this thing that's what I love the most. And this building has a lot of just straight, and it shoots out at an angle, and that's my style. That's my because you always have when you do stuff, you always have a certain style that you like the most. Well, this is one of them.
So you like the design.
Yeah,
you're just excited to participate in the design.
Oh heck yeah.
Okay, well that's our interview with Vince today. We'll be seeing him back many more times. We wanted to just share Vince's expertise with everybody today. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, I'm out today. We were lucky to have our steel fabricator on site, and they're involved in even the smallest details that you'd be surprised about. So we've got DS Welding. Can you introduce yourself to everybody? Tell us what you guys do and what you're out here today to do with these.
Okay, I'm John with DS Steel. So we are installing the this brackets today in the concrete, and then in the future we're gonna, weld steel to it going up.
And what kind of steel work does your company do?
So we basically do everything for the house. Like we start with the structural steel, like the I-beams and the columns, and then that's the first phase. And then once everything is built, we do the architecture, like the balconies, handrails.
So the
staircase.
decorative steel.
Yeah.
Decorative, the things like that.
So we basically do everything for the house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're interesting. You're out here putting these bolt elements into the concrete.
Yes.
That are going to connect to future steel for your house.
Yeah.
Right. And these you've made these are heavy.
Yeah.
And this is a galvanized coating.
Yeah, galvanized coating. Yeah, so it's normal steel, and then we weld the pieces on, and then take it somewhere else to get it galvanized.
Yes, and your welds have to be very precise, because everything is in the strength of your weld.
Yeah.
So,
exactly. This still holds on to this. If this breaks, then the whole thing is going to move.
Everything falls apart.
Yeah.
And this galvanizing protects it from rust and from corrosion.
Yes.
And you take these you weld these up, and you take these to a outside location where they put these in a big tank of a galvanizing solution that makes this coating, so that you can come back and install them in the concrete, and they're going to be non-corrosive.
Non-corrosive, yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And you're working with the framing contractor sometimes too.
Coordinating a lot, because
So
sometimes
everybody's working together.
Exactly, we
You're
have
working
to.
with the concrete contractor, the framing contractor, yourself, sometimes maybe even a plumber or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're connecting all these dots.
Yeah, especially with the frame and lock, because sometimes they have to do some wood, and then they have to stop. We do some steel, and then we stop, and then they continue. Yeah.
Well, you have a little bit of an accent. Where are you originally from?
I'm Romania.
Romania.
Yeah.
How long were you doing this in Romania too? This kind of work?
No, so my dad also has he does welding. So
Okay.
and he came here 35 years ago.
35 years ago.
So he's been doing welding, and then that's how we picked up the trade. From him.
So the whole you immigrated, and you brought that skill with you.
Yeah.
And you've been real successful with
Yeah.
your firm. And where are you located? You're in Loomis?
No, the shop is in North Highlands.
North Highlands.
Yeah.
Okay, North Highlands. Okay. Well, we're going to be visiting your shop, and we're going to be having another episode where we go to their shop, and we're going to see them working on some of the big steel beams.
Nice.
And the welders, and our big deck that goes out here. And you'll show us some of the tools of the trade back at your shop. 'Cause
Yeah.
a lot of this is done back off site, and you
yes.
bring it out here.
Yes.
And then install it.
We try to do as much in the
Yeah.
shop, and then just minimal in the field.
Okay, that's great. That's
Yes.
great. Well, thanks for helping us understand a little bit about what you're doing out here today, and then we'll see you in some future episodes.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm with Brandon with ABC Concrete. He's one of the loaders that brings the concrete out from the supply, from the yard where where do you
We're based
batch
out
the
of Alberta.
Alberta, so you're coming all the way from Alberta.
Yes.
That's 20 miles.
Yeah, it's about 20, 25 miles.
So 20 miles to bring a load of concrete here and then go back and reload.
Yep.
So how long does it take from the plant to here to drive and be to this
It
spot?
took about 42 minutes.
42 minutes. So you have to plan that in your mix so that it doesn't set up in the
Yeah, correct.
in the thing. Okay. So Brandon, what is the challenge of a project coming down this road to get here? What did you have to do uniquely to this project and maybe another project?
Well, so variations are the hills, the climates, up and down, and so we hold 9.5 yards. We're only loaded with 7.5 because of the different angles going up hills. We don't want to have any spillage, that can get on the streets.
So the concrete, the hill could be so steep that it could literally spill out of the truck.
Correct.
And also the weight, right?
Yes,
The-
correct.
the
If
concrete.
it's so much, depending if you're going uphill or backing down, you want to make sure you can have traction and stuff. And sometimes you don't know when you get out to certain areas like this. Like I encountered a vehicle coming out when I was coming
Oh, no.
down, and they had to stop, back up because they wanted me to, and you can't do those
boy.
kind of things.
Okay. So you've been doing this a long time. There's going to be 10 trucks out here. We talked to Fabia and Mercado, the contractor, and you stage them about 40 minutes apart
Yeah.
that they arrive?
Yeah, there's different variables, too. Same thing,
The temperature out and everything?
temperature, if there's a truck there to be loaded. But,
Right.
when we have a priority client like this, try to make sure we stay on it. The biggest challenge sometimes is just making sure you have enough room to stage. The first time we came here, we actually staged out on the main road and
Okay.
had a pilot guy coming in
I
because
see.
there were so many trucks.
So many trucks.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and there's going to be a lot more pours yet to do out
Yep.
here. You're going to be coming out here. Brandon's going to have to sign his name somewhere, because he's been out here a lot. You've
Yeah,
been out here
since the beginning.
several times,
Yeah,
right?
Yes.
Yeah. So one last question. The concrete that's in the truck, our engineer will provide a mix design. They'll say how much water and how much cement and what basically the recipe is for the concrete. What do you do at the plant to make sure that it's the exact recipe? How does that work?
So I personally don't, but obviously
Right.
we have a batch man that's certified and quality control guys, so they're taking samples as well. They have, whatever the recipe is that you get, the batch man will go off that. They have formulated, to go with your guys' stuff and, moisture control and all that stuff.
So the
on
quality
batch.
control engineers, are you pouring a
They're
cylinder?
taking core samples, yeah.
Oh, they're core samples? They're
Yeah.
not going to do a pour cylinder?
It's like a tub, yeah, it's a cylinder, sorry,
Okay,
core
you're gonna
sample.
do- okay.
Same thing, yeah, it's like a little cylinder. They do it, they test it, they'll go
And do
bring
they
it
do
back.
every truck? They pour a cylinder from every
I don't know
truck?
if they do every truck, but they do every other one or something
Okay.
like that. You'd have to ask him. That's a
Okay.
question I wouldn't know personally, but
Okay.
they do samples and they take it back to their own. We have our own little facility where he's licensed and
You
stuff.
have a
and-
laboratory, you'll check it and make sure.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, that's it. We wanted to get right to the source of the concrete with Brandon and ABC Concrete. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
So we just met with Brandon from ABC Concrete, and Jared is sort of with quality control of the company.
Yep.
And can you tell us what you've got right here, Jared, and tell us what this is for?
So this is you take cylinders to get your
This is a cylinder with
Yeah.
now is this a
Fill-
special size? This is a pre-made size, right?
Yep.
Okay. And
It-
it's designed that way because that's calculations. Engineers want this much to
Yep.
do their analysis. So we'll go back to where you go. You have a tank where you put these in.
Yeah, so we put them in a cure tank, and you want to meet your PSI strength at 28 days. So I do one at 7. We'll break it at 7 days, one at 14 days, and then you have 3 at 28 days.
So you take five cylinders per load.
Yeah.
And,
Generally.
and these cylinders, when you said PSI is pounds per square inch. So that's the load. And we're doing concrete, our engineer specified minimum 2,800 or 3,000 pounds per square inch.
Yep.
And so when you do the testing, if it comes back failing under that, that means there was a problem with something in the concrete then.
Yeah.
And
Either pouring too wet or faulty cylinder. I mean, as far as taking.
How
the
often do you
specimen.
have failures? Is it rare?
It's pretty rare.
Pretty rare.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is really just kind of an insurance policy then,
Yep.
just to make sure that it's been the right concrete, that whatever was specified is what was actually poured.
Yep.
To prove that was the strength.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Okay, I'm opening the door. Hello, you're at the entrance to the house right here. This is the front porch area, and this will be the inside foyer area. And come on in, I'll show you what we've got. So as we step into the space, you'll be able to look through all glass in this area behind me, be able to see the pool down here to the left, and then looking this way, this is going to be a great room in here, and that wall that you see there is 26 feet of glass covering that entire wall. And the glass is on 3 sides, and you're going to be able to look out over the river. The river is just right over that hill over there. So this is pretty exciting. Right here is a dining room. There will be a dining room table sitting right here. I'm probably sitting in one of the chairs. This is a 2-story glass window that's going to look out over a water feature that is 30 feet long that looks this way, and this is our front courtyard that's out in the front of the house in one of the 2 outside spaces to sit, the front courtyard, and over here in this corner we've got a rear patio in this area next to the pool and overlooks the river, and a lower area down by the pool. So it's first time you'll be able to get a real feel for the layout of the project.
With every conversation, the vision becomes clearer. The coordination that happened here between trades, engineers, and the design team is what makes great building possible. As the concrete sets, the foundation is no longer just an idea. It's real, solid, and ready for what comes next.